We're spending Christmas in the Galapagos.
Today we took another side trip from our trip around the world. We packed our bags and we headed to the Quito airport and flew to the Galapagos Islands. When we arrived at the Quito airport, we first had to get a tourist card for the Galapagos Islands. This was done at the Consejo del Gobierno desk at the very front of the airport. The cost is $20 per person, and each person has to have one, and it is your proof that you actually paid to go to the island. We had to go to the check-in counter after that, and this was so they could input that we actually purchased our card. After a 2-hour flight, we arrived at the airport in the Galapagos Islands on Santa Cruz, where we had to go through a customs screening and we had to go through a baggage check again. After clearing customs, we took a 10-minute bus ride to a 5-minute ferry ride to a 40-minute taxi ride to get to our final destination for our first day. After settling in at our hotel and taking advantage of the air conditioning, we set out to explore a little bit of the island down at the Malecon. When we got there, we saw tons and tons of little marine iguanas and tons of these little crab, all different varieties of colors. We saw tons of sea lions just napping, and we even got to see a big sea turtle playing in the water.
There he goes!
Today we are going to try seeing the Darwin Museum and some of the largest turtles in the Galapagos.
First, we walked down to the Malecon to grab something to eat. It's definitely cheaper eating on the street food, which is like 1/10 of the cost of the US. Or you come to these places, which is about half price of the US. But we're also on the beach. After breakfast, we grabbed a taxi.
We're going to this reserve where they have these huge tortoises, and then we're gonna go see some blue-footed boobies, and then I forget what else the lava tunnels.
Halfway to the turtle refuge, we stopped at 2 massive sinkholes.
So we're starting over here, then we're gonna walk all the way around here, and then we're gonna walk all the way back, out and back to here.
It was an easy and flat walk around the region. The sinkholes were massive, and obviously video will never do it justice. You can't really access the bottom, but it doesn't appear to be anything worth seeing anyway. It's still worth the 20-minute detour. El Chato is a private ecological reserve located in the highlands. The Galapagos Islands are actually named after the tortoises, as the word Galapago means horse saddle in Spanish, as the early Spaniard arrivals rode the giant tortoises like horses for fun. The tortoises aren't fenced in, but they regularly cross the reserve and spend time here during their migration. After learning about the tortoises, we went and checked out some lava tubes. These were definitely the shortest lava tubes we've ever explored. The first one was about 100 feet, and the second one was only 50 feet. They're still worth checking out though. Turtle experience.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
It was amazing. There was one that came right up to me, and I thought he was going to try to eat my phone. They said stay 10 feet away. I didn't move. He came to me. And apparently he's the most aggressive one of the whole entire group, but not to people. I loved it. I loved it.
You did?
I loved it. There's no other words to describe it. I love it.
After the tortoise ranch, we ended up stopping by a travel center and booking a boat tour to go snorkeling on the next day. It was well worth it. We saw schools of fish and some playing sea lions. We found some stingrays. And we saw more sea turtles than I've ever seen in my entire life. They were everywhere, and they'd swim right next to you, on top of you, underneath you, everywhere. But there was one creature that I wasn't really expecting, and that's a black-tipped reef shark. But throughout our trip, we'd be seeing them everywhere. We finished our swim with a short walk on shore where we found more iguanas and sea lions. Little did we know we'd be surrounded by them this whole trip.
Our next stop was the Charles Darwin Research Center. Since its founding in 1959, the Charles Darwin Foundation and its research station has been committed to protect and preserve the Galapagos. Over the years, they've collected a massive body of knowledge and data, including the Galapagos Natural History collections on the islands, which consist of more than 135,000 species across 4 collections. Their team is made up of more than 100 scientists, educators, support personnel, and volunteers.
And it takes about 3 to 4 months for the eggs to hatch. And then they keep the little turtles here for passage. After that, they take them back exactly to the place.
Lonesome George was a giant tortoise on the island of Pinta in the northern region of the Galapagos archipelago. He was the last known survivor of the Pinto tortoise. He was found in 1910 and lived until 2012. The species is now extinct, but you can still see Lonesome George frozen in time at the center.
It's our last day on Santa Cruz, and we are going to Las Grietas. Very short 3-minute ride.
At least this place is well marked. There's signs everywhere for every turn.
Pretty sunny out here on the boardwalk. So I've got my umbrella. I call it my sunshade instead of sunblock.
Y 45 minutos para que puedan nadar en las grietas. Tenemos un snorkeling muy bonito. Como ven, ya
So he said it's a 25-minute walk. We have to have a guide. We're about 8 minutes early, so we're gonna go sit at the bar and wait for the guide. In the meantime, this is the salt flat, and they use it for everything on the island. Seasoning their foods, all the things.
There's a little bar on the entrance. You can get some snacks if you like. So we just met up with our guide, and she's going to take us to 3 activities.
4 corners are here in Galapagos.
Even though guides were required this time, we've never regretted hiring a guide. Over the last 6 years, Caden has had the opportunity to learn from archaeologists, biologists, botanists, etc. at their place of work. Once arriving in Las Grietas, it was all about having fun underwater. After our final swim, we went to check out the view before heading to the next island.
We are in line, getting ready to head to Isabela. Tags for our boat.
It's to a bigger boat, Mom. Don't worry.
And there's our little boat that we're taking over to Isabela. What did you think of Santa Cruz Island?
I love Santa Cruz Islands. I mostly like the sushi. I liked how we could go and snorkel all around the place. And I think it's so far one of my favorite islands that I've been on, besides the little corn in Nicaragua.
Join us on our next video as we explore Isabela Island.